So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk about South Charleston before we hop off here. Last year, back to the playoffs after missing out on the playoff the year prior. It was wonderful coming on to the broadcast team, getting to know the kids. Young team. Mays seems to always have to battle through some of the young kids and, have some injuries here and there, but a lot of talent across the board. A guy like Dean that came on, he's a young kid. I called him Dirty Dancing Dean. He always had that jump step kind of swagger about him. Trey Dunn, second year running the offense. Of course, you got Zyke Lawton, who's getting all these D1 offers. I got several over the summer. I'm excited for this year. We talked about the tough schedule, but they play an MSAC. It's going to be tough every week anyway. They throw on Martinsburg, it make it even tougher. What's your overall kind of feeling going into this year?
Very talented. Let's just hope that they can put it together. And obviously, you start with Zyke Lawton, the 6'3", 245-pound defensive end, being recruited by several Division I schools, and he looks the part. And he's I've been up to practice 3 or 4 times, and I sent out a video the other day that they were doing some drills there, but he shoved Mondrell Dean clear out of the back of the end zone. And it was, it was time to eat, and the big dog was hungry. And so he was throwing his weight around, but man, he's impressive to look at. And then we look at Mondrell Dean. That's another impressive individual. Was a running back last year, played some linebacker, defensive end as a freshman. He has grown. And I thought he was big last year. He's even bigger now. I think he's about 6'2", 6'3" now, around 210, 215. Runs the ball really well, a nose for the ball in defense, so keep an eye out for him. And then we talked about Trey Dunn, the freshman quarterback last year, got a lot of playing time. We talked to Donnie. Donnie said, well, the game was a little too fast for him to begin with, and you could tell that he was a freshman at the beginning of the season. Interceptions were up. Completions down, but as he progressed through the season, he got better. The game slowed down for him, and had a good back end of the season for Trey Dunn. Another one to look at, Xavier Bosley. Xavier is 6'5", and Donnie says he's about 300, 305 now. A 4.3 GPA student, great kid. Keep an eye out on him. He is very impressive. Jason Barnett, another freshman that played last year at the nose tackle position. He is back on that defensive line. And another one I wanted to.
That's a wrecking ball right there. That's a wrecking ball. Jason.
Yeah, he lived in everybody's backfield last year. But here's one you got to watch out for, too. We talk about Zyke Lawton. He's got a younger brother. His name's Mari Lawton. Yep. He has grown up. He is 6'3", 240 now. Just a sophomore, played a lot last year as a freshman. So here's another freshman that's come up. He's a sophomore now, got a lot of playing time last year. He's another one to look at as we start the season. I'm excited to see those guys, how they've grown up here 1 year and back in the system. They've been in the weight room over the winter. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I think the Trey Dunn, a lot of times throughout the season, I thought his decision-making got a lot better. You saw that he made the right reads. He didn't force things. I thought he came on the first game of the season. I thought he played really well too. But there was some brilliant moments at Capitol. There was a couple good moments, which I didn't get to see in person. I saw on film at Riverside. There was a couple bad decisions here and there, but throughout the season, but it was growing pains. But I thought overall, Trey Dunn running the offense, I thought he just did a good job of kind of knowing the moment. Like, he knew when to take the ball himself. He didn't force things as the season went on. I thought those were impressive with Trey Dunn. And like you said, those young kids that you mentioned, they showed a lot last year. So that's for you and I, we were really excited. We're thinking, okay, another year under their belt. And as you mentioned, we talked about getting in that weight room. And going back to Dean, I thought he had great patience already. Like, he waited for things to open up, and then he would just fire through. And he was a tough kid too. You didn't get him down with one tackler. So
no.
I'm super excited. It's going to be a tough schedule. They got a scrimmage tomorrow at 4:00. They got Sissonville, which they do. Mark Wilson and all those guys do a good job there. So That's a lot of fun when you get the scrimmage stuff. Again, we're going to be looking forward to Saturday and watching and make sure it stays at least in that yellow by 9 p.m. Saturday so we can have some football here in the Kanawha Valley. So all that, man, we're getting ready. We're getting ready for the season. I'm super excited. Can't wait to get back in that booth.
Yeah, and a couple other ones I'll mention for South Charleston. They've got a couple seniors that have put a lot of work into the program. Been there 4 years along with Zyke and others. But it's Donovan Davis, a defensive back, had a great back end of the season. Look for him, defensive back, wide receiver. And then Shiley Kinney. Quick. You may see him do some other things, plays a slot back. Of course, he played quarterback there a couple years ago. But at that slot back, so we'll keep an eye on Shiley Kinney. And then just want to remind everybody before we hop off here, South Charleston Video Productions will be able to watch their games. The first game will be on Channel 8. They'll be up there streaming with Mark Martin and those guys. And then we'll have the Martinsburg game on Video Productions with me and you.
All right. Well, that's going to be it's going to wrap up the first official episode of the High School Blitz podcast. He is Jack Withrow. Make sure to check him out. He's going to be with me in the booth calling the games. If you want to, throw out some of your social media so they can holler at you, man.
Twitter's at JDub, JDUB 26PT2, and Jack Withrow on Facebook. I'm also over on Instagram at JDub26. PT2.
Check out his work. He's all over the place. Tays Valley Basketball, St. Albans. He does all kinds of stuff. So Jack is in it.
I don't know. Is it football season, basketball season?
Yeah, we don't know. You're confused. You don't even
Does it matter? Does it matter if we're playing? It doesn't matter. I went
Everybody makes the playoffs.
Months.
Everybody makes the playoffs if you're in Ohio. All right, we're going to hop off here. Again, thank you to the sponsor, the Tent Guy and Nitro. Check them out. And if you're listening to the audio portion, this will continue into my conversation earlier this week with the Huntington Highlanders head coach, Billy Seals, who's previewing Huntington and what they got coming. A very young team and a quarterback battle, all kinds of good stuff there happening in Huntington. So make sure that you stick around and listen to my conversation with Coach Seals.